All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is the first meeting of 2022, so our January club meeting. This is not the type of meeting that I had planned for this month, and I don't think this is the type of meeting anybody had planned, but with the way everything was, it made sense to have it only on Zoom. So we certainly appreciate your patience and flexibility with meeting back on Zoom again, and hopefully we won't have that next month, but we'll, of course, as we've been doing each month, decide that at the board meeting and then make that decision at the February board meeting for next month's meeting. So kind of like I said in the President's Corner, I just wanted to thank everybody for putting your faith in me. I know the running joke for those who serve on the board is that we must have left the room or something like that, but it is certainly an honor to be in this position and not only serve on the board, but just to be a part of this club with each and every one of you. So thank you for showing up to the meeting today. Thank you for checking into the nets, for volunteering and participating in the other clubs in the area as well, and doing everything that every one of you do for amateur radio, kind of keeping up with everything. It certainly makes a difference. So just thank you. Now that that's out of the way, if we can, I'll call for a vote to read for the Secretary's minutes and the Treasurer's report. If I can get one.
I move we accept the Secretary's report, K4BLL.
All right, and can we add the Treasurer's report in there too, Ned?
Add Treasurer's report in there too.
All right.
Is
there a second to accept the Secretary's minutes and the Treasurer's report as published in Sparks? So Dan Warner, okay. All right, all in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
The biggest thing, are there any opposed to that? Okay, all right, well, that motion passes and we have approved the Secretary's minutes and the Treasurer's report as published in Sparks. So the next section of the meeting for announcements, I know one of the announcements, we do have a new VE liaison, Dan Columbus. Let's see, do you want to give us a brief introduction? Put you on the spot.
Well, just I was asked to jump in and help, and I'm glad to do it. If there's anybody who has any pointers, any help, any opinions, anything on that, you know how to contact me there. I'm always open for any suggestions and always open for any help. Just like I was just glad to jump in and help how I can on this. So anybody has anything, you know how to contact me. And for those who don't know me, I've been around a long time, just not very active for a long time. I came here in '83. The rest of it you can read on QRZ or something if you want to know about what I've done and all. But like I said, anybody wants to help or any suggestions, anything, don't hesitate to call. And I'm retired now, so I've got plenty of time to work on all this and can meet at any time with anybody. So that's about it.
All right, well, good deal. Well, we appreciate you stepping up to volunteer in that role, Dan. I know it's going to take a lot of time and everything, but it's going to really help us kind of give back to the next generation of hams. So thank you for stepping up to do that. Steve, I know you said you were going to keep quiet, but would you mind to give us an update on Swamp Stompers this weekend, where you're at?
Yeah, I was going to do that. We are doing Swamp Stompers this weekend. It is Saturday. In the past, it was on Sundays, but a year or two ago, they switched over to Saturday. So it is this Saturday. I've got plenty of volunteers. We're in good shape right now, and I appreciate everybody that's volunteered to help. With that being said, we're going to plan on using the A2 repeater So between about 7:30 and 4 o'clock on Saturday, technically the repeater is going to be used for a controlled net. So if you're wanting to use it, get on there. You may be told that, hey, we're using this for a net. But I will say that event is usually pretty quiet. So if you're listening and you don't hear much and you don't realize there's a net going on, I understand that. But we do need to keep it open in case there's some emergency or something that comes up. And so once again, that's between 7:30 and about 4 o'clock. We got about 13 people total that are helping, and for this event, that's plenty. This is usually a pretty small event. If you're not able to join us, and since it's going to be cold, and the last forecast I saw, possibly even raining or snowing, if you're in the warmth of your house and you want to listen in on the net, feel free to do that. And it's one of the first times this year where you can kind of see where an event takes place and how we handle it, and so that you can help us with the next event we have. That's about all I got.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve, for coordinating that and for giving us an update today. Speaking of updates, Joe, would you like to update us on the status of your class going on?
All right. The extra class, we had our second session last night. Dean Honadel into LAZ gave it. And I thought he does a great job on that chapter 4. Getting a lot of the, I guess, the mathematical part down to where it's understandable. And as a matter of fact, he got a lot of the calculations for down to where you can just look at what the chart, where the chart is, and not even have to do the calculations, by knowing that that the capacitance is down and inductance is up and the resistance is to the right, and depending on where it goes, how far the resistance is, you can see whether it should be above or below the line, depending on whether the inductance or the capacitance is greater. But anyway, he did a great job, I thought, and so we're on schedule right now. We should finish on the 14th of February. Then on the 28th of February, we'll start a tech class. If we got 10 students in the class, that'll go through April the 4th, and then at 6 Monday nights from 6:15 to 9:30, with the last Zoom meeting with the last class, and in person, or I'm sorry, the 5th class, which will be the last Monday in March, will be the FCC exam, and before the exam will be a review of the question pool. And that's all that I have planned so far. This is number into the 17th year.
Wow, it's impressive. Well, thank you for doing all you're doing with that, Joe. I know we appreciate it.
This year, about 659 techs have received their licenses in the time that I've been doing classes.
Good deal.
Okay,
Well,
and that's all.
Well, thank you again. And I should have asked this after Steve. If anybody have any questions about Swamp Stompers event or the training classes that Joe just talked about? Okay. All right. Let's see.
Swamp Stompers?
Who asked that?
It's me, Kevin, KO4UTX. Y'all don't know me. I'm in Joe's extra class.
Okay. All right. And you were asking about Swamp Stompers? What was your question again?
I'm sorry, it was taking me forever to get into Zoom. What is Swamp Stompers?
Okay. Well, Steve, do you want to pick that up and tell them about it, or I can? Or...
Yeah. Swamp Stompers is it's a running event that they do in Shelby Forest. It's what they call kind of an ultra marathon. It's kind of an ultra. I don't know if they call it a marathon or not. It's a 25K and a 50K that they do through Shelby Forest. And we help with the communications there because if you've never been out to Shelby Forest or it's been a while, once you're out there, you realize there's parts of that part of the county that there is no cell service. So we provide communications from some of the aid stations that they have there, so that we can keep up with the runners, see if anybody needs any help or something like that. So it's kind of different. You know, we do this event. Normally we do about 2 bike events. Before the COVID hit, we were doing that type thing, providing communications for that. And but this one is kind of unique in that you know, it's through the forest and we can't really follow them. We just keep up with the runners as they're coming through each station. I just saw on the chat where somebody was asking what repeater we're going to use. We're planning on using the 146.82. It covers the area pretty well. So you're welcome to listen in. But I will tell you, it's usually a pretty low key event. It's you know, we'll in the morning we'll say when the runners are starting. First hour or so we'll report when they're going through each station. But as the day goes on, the announcements on the repeater between the stations are pretty slow unless something's going on. But feel free to listen in, and I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us, Kevin. And I just realized this when I saw the name section on your profile part. If you guys could, this would help Carolyn out with tracking the membership on who all participated today. If you could go in to the 3 little dots near your image, click on rename and add your call sign in there. That would certainly help her out when it comes to giving you credit for attending this meeting tonight. So if you could work on that, that would be greatly appreciated. All right. Well, speaking of the 146.82, I'm going to put them on the spot for a minute, but Barry, do you anything new in the past week for the repeater site?
Nothing that I'm aware of. Last time I was out there was, I believe, right before or after the board meeting, and there was still no activity happening yet. But I'll keep checking. You know, I probably won't get to do it tomorrow, but I'll check Thursday and see if, you know, there's any activity out there yet for them to fix channel 30. So, you know, I can't wait till they do. It'd be nice if they had it done before Swamp Stompers, but I don't think so.
That's true. That would be nice.
So good luck, Steve.
Well, you know, if the difference between this year and last year, and I guess any other year, is if it doesn't get fixed between now and then, we do have a backup frequency that we know we can switch over if we had to. So, you know, that's what that was there for. And thank you for doing all you've done with that and everything.
That's why we're hams. We know how to get around stuff.
Let them know what the backup frequency is.
Yeah, which one are you using?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's the 443-700, right? Is our backup frequency?
Yeah.
For that.
Okay, the full 40. Okay.
Yeah, we were going to use that because it's on the it's got the it's on the tower and it's got the altitude, the height to give us the coverage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So if anybody is listening to the Swamp Stompers event, to try to kind of, and you know, and I encourage you to do that. If you, I know it takes a lot of time to get out there and help, but like Steve said, if you find that you've got a little time to switch your radio on and just listen to it, if you've not helped out in an event, but you thought about it, you know, maybe at least listen in, and hopefully there's not a lot of action. But the reality is that you might hear something, because we've had times in the past where we had to put everything on hold and get an ambulance out there to help somebody. So you never know what you could hear, and keep an ear on it and everything. And it's good to hear and kind of listen on how those events go. And but if you do tune into 146.82 and don't hear anything, flip on over to the 443.700 frequency. That has a +5 megahertz offset and a PL tone of 107.2. So that's the same frequency that we use for our 440 net on Friday night. So we'd love to have you listen in and all that. So let's see. Aries, John, anything going on there?
We have our first meeting of the year coming up 2 weeks from tonight on the 25th. And like you, Mary Jean, I was hoping that we can meet in person, but unfortunately that will be via Zoom. So that's pretty much that. 2 weeks from tonight, and we'll get things kicked off for the year.
Good deal. Any other groups I'm missing? I've tried to look through here and see. All right. Another announcement, the Mara Free Fest is on April 9th. That's a Saturday at the Bartlett Municipal Center. So I don't know what their plans are going to be with COVID or anything, but right now it is scheduled to happen. So keep an eye out on Sparks for more information about that as we get closer. And then also, I know you're all here, but if there's anything that gets talked about, especially on the program that we're going to cover here in a little bit, and you want to hear what was said without waiting for next month's Sparks for the minutes to be typed up, this meeting link, it'll be uploaded to YouTube probably tonight or tomorrow, and then that link will be posted on Facebook as well. Any other announcements from anybody? Questions?
I got a question.
All right, Ham.
I'll point this to Joe. Have you heard anything about the new license?
The new license plates will be for the regular license. The hams are going to be still the same plate.
Well, that's disappointing.
As far as I know, because it's a specific design for the regular plate. The ham plates are going to be the same, as far as I know.
Well, all right. I just wondered. I didn't know what the procedure was going to be, because I knew at one time we used to have to go downtown to get the new plates when they came out, and I just was concerned as to what the deal was.
I will call down and verify it, but I'm almost positive this is just a new regular plate, because ours is a vanity plate and the vanity plates are not changing.
All right. Well, that's all right too. But I've had mine about 20 years, and it's about time for a new one.
I'll find out what, as a matter of fact, I probably need to replace one of my embossed plates is shedding paint, and it's looks quite ragged. I don't know if I can get a new plate to replace it or not.
I appreciate it, Joe. And just let everybody know that hopefully within the next 30 days, we will have another Mars station out at NSA. And once I get the final okay with what we're doing and everything else, I'll put out some more information. But I've been working diligently for the last couple of months trying to get it all set up and ready to go.
Same
And,
location?
nope. This is a totally different location. It's still on the north side, but it's a different location. And like I say, we'll when I get the final approval, final walkthrough, then I'll probably put out the information next month.
All right. Speaking of the license plate stuff with amateur radio, I think that we normally publish something in Sparks about it, but Joe, since we have, I'm sure, a decent amount of new hands here, would you mind talking a little bit more about kind of the initial plate and what they have to do to get that if they're interested?
You can go in Sparks. I have a link on how to get the application form. It's on the Department of Revenue, I believe. Either the Department of Revenue, Department of Safety. I've forgotten which one it's at. It switches back and forth. It has. But anyway, the application, send it into Nashville. They will send you a letter saying that they received it and that in about 30 days, you can contact the clerk's office in Memphis, which is at 150 Washington Street, to get your tag. If you have a tag that is not expiring at that time, they will give you credit for each amount of quarters that you have left on your tag. So if you just renewed your tag, you'll lose 1/4 of that cost. The ham tag is not really a vanity tag. It's the same as a regular passenger tag cost. In Memphis, it's $115, $115, I believe, $113 right now. But when it comes in, you have to call down to 150 Washington to make sure it's there, or I would recommend it before you go down, because sometimes it gets delayed depending on, particularly with the situation with workers these days. You don't know how many people are affected at the print shop where they print the tags. Does that cover it, Mary Jean?
It does. And like Joe said, there should be something in Sparks about it. So if you haven't gotten one yet and you're interested, check Sparks to see what that process is. But Joe's really good about keeping all that updated for us and everything. And I just realized it's been a while since we've talked about it, so thought it would be good to bring up again, especially since Pam just asked about it. So thank you for doing that. All right. And I guess I should say too, I hope I'm not coming across too coarse on talking and everything. I lost my voice this weekend. I've been trying to get it back. So it's been bad timing, I guess, for having a meeting to talk that and all that, but I'll do my best. All right. Well, are there any other announcements or questions? Anything that we need to cover before our program? Okay. Well, Steve, do you want to teach us about where we're at with online testing now?
Sure. First, let me tell everybody good evening. I'm one of the new guys over here on the board, and hopefully we're gonna bring you guys some good programs this year. I'm Steve Romagna, which for Delta Tank. Well, for a little background on me, I've been in ham for over 34 years, give or take. Yeah, believe it or not, 34 years already. Wow. And I've been involved in a couple of crazy projects in this hobby of ours. Let me just share my screen. You want to give me access to share screen? Pretty please.
Mary Jean, go to security and then it'll go to share screen.
Okay. All right. Do you have to do anything with?
Okay. Yep, up there.
All right. Good.
Let me just make that presentation mode.
It's coming up, Steve.
Oh, yeah. And now, I mean, we can see it.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna talk tonight. I got a quick presentation about ham radio remote online testing. So what we're gonna talk about is why, the how, why it was done, and actually how it works. As some of us who are BEs know how complex the BEC environment is. This is pretty much all the BECs that can actually do exams and they're represented over to the FCC. So you can imagine trying to come up with the standard online environment was very, very hard to do. Some of us who do exams now are very familiar with these templates. And this is pretty much how we do exams today on the live versions. And this little templates allows us to do validate an exam. Well, exam tools pretty much automates this whole process. So what does the environment do for BEs? Every single piece you see here is now electronic. No more paperwork, pretty much. So online testing today is a new way of licensing pretty much for the next generation of ham radio operators. Believe it or not, it's, I'll show some stats numbers in a second, but when we first started doing this, we thought it was not gonna be that much of a boom, but then, you know, we all know what happened a couple of years ago with COVID. The testing costs is about the same average for a regular in session, $10 to $15 per session. Eventually there will be a $35 fee. There'll be whenever that gets passed through. But that's pretty much right now. It's a 10 to different clubs, different BEs, we charge different sessions, but the average is about $15. So some of your background why online testing. It's online testing actually was that new. It's been going around for a couple of years. At least remote sessions have been going around. Alaska was one of the areas where it was some remote areas in Alaska were one of the first ones to have remote sessions. On 2011, Hawaii actually was the first almost quote unquote beta tester of the environment. Then we have the Anchorage BEC team, where it's actually successfully tested what today's exam tools. And this is what they gave the okay from the FCC on April 30, 2020, to give the green light for online examinations. So, a little background. 2020, we know what happened. COVID hit. There was a big pressure from the public to actually have some sort of online environment for testing. So Richard Bateman gave B7 BBC, who's the guy behind Ham Study, grabbed a few of us, IT guys, and we came up with what today is exam tools. We help them build that. It actually is an open source environment and very fluent. It changes a lot. Richard's a very good programmer, and there's a lot of input from all of us to make the environment work better and better. It actually has improved a lot from the first version to what we have today. The biggest question that was always presented to when we were developing the process was how to do it and how to keep the integrity of a testing environment. So in March 2020, a test case was done. the Notify YI group actually did the first testing using exam tools, and it was a full success, which what led to what the public noticed from the FCC. And here's some of the Twitter comments. So if you build it, they will come. Here's kind of like the snowball process of what happened. When we first started, we did about just over 1,000 sessions in a week. Over a month, we were 3,000 sessions, and over 6 months, we were 10,000 testings done. So as you can tell, it's just snowball from there. We were the group I do my testing with. We were doing 3 sessions per week and accommodating about 4 people. There's some groups that are actually have been able to do 20 candidates with multiple VEs, and I've been very successful doing this. I've done one of those sessions, very convoluted, it's too much to coordinate. But we try to, at our group, we try to keep them small. We usually have 4 candidates per session. It usually takes about an average take a test between technician and general tests. It takes about 15 minutes average, and usually for the extra, it takes about 20 to 25 minutes average for a person. We've seen people take the extra class test in less than 10 minutes because they know the material. So a little about exam tools. So here's some statistics numbers, roughly from March 2020 to December 1st, 2020. The average in-persons were around 1,100 candidates, taking about 1,600 elements. On the fully remote, we were able to do 9,000 candidates and taking about 10,000 elements. So you can see the difference between one and the other. So how do I do an online test? Well, if you go to Ham Study, which is actually Richard actually created this page, which is very, very good for studying for a test. You can find it there both in person and online. It'll show you which club or which BE team is doing the test, and you can register, and it tells you the cost. And you pay through PayPal and everything else. Once you register, the BE team gets an email and we communicate back. I do my testing with the Columbia University team out of New York. Since we started the process, we have done 184 online testing sessions, and we have taken over 667 candidates. This year we slowed down. Actually, the latter part of the year, once all of us started to go back to work, we're now down to 2 sessions per month instead of 3 sessions per week, which makes it a little easier. So how do I find one and how do I take it? Hamstudy.org again. You can go there. You can both look in-person sessions or online sessions. You can pick the day you want to. You register. Once you do all this and you get an email to pay for your session, you receive an email from us. It's automated, indicating when will be your test, and here's your PIN number, which is very important for you to have. The day of the test. So let's talk about the test day. We're gonna send you some instructions. So these instructions has been vetted by lawyers, vetted by a group of team. Almost every single group that does testing does pretty much the same. They vary 1 or 2 little things, but this is pretty much the standard. We're gonna ask you to get the area ready, and I'll talk about that in a second. There's a list of information that will send you in a registration email that you have to meet. You cannot have a virtual background running on Zoom. Only one person is allowed in the testing area. There's an exception to the rule. If the person's under the age of, if it's a minor, then we have to have somebody else in the room, somebody over the age of 18. It's usually a parent in the background. We have to ensure that all the PCs and all the devices that are going to be used are all set by the email instructions that we send you. You need to have a second device, which is usually a tablet, PC, or a phone, and I'll get to that in a second. No headphones are allowed. We have actually stopped testing. We actually have refused to do testing of folks who will not use we refuse to take out headphones. And the only applications that are allowed to be in a computer, it will be an internet browser, a Zoom client, and we allow a calculator. You have to agree to share your whole desktop. You have to provide a photo ID. So again, let me go over real quick. So summarizing a little bit of how the environment works. The room environment, we usually ask you to be on a secluded location. A lot of folks go into the bathroom because it seems to be the most place where people get more privacy. And we have seen all kinds of rooms. Your computer environment, your software that's allowed, which I spoke, there cannot be nothing else on the desk. And I'll get to that in a second when I go to the instructions. And you have to be able to listen and understand all of the instructions that the session lead team will provide. So what to expect during the online test session? Very simple. You will come into a student waiting room. We'll let you in when it's your turn. There's going to be 2 lead VEs, usually managing and coordinating the session. There's going to be a person, actually the head of who's going to be heading the process. The second lead VE is going to be working on the software side. And there's usually 3 other VEs that will do the testing. And the best part of all, the test results are pretty much automatic. So when you come to the waiting room, you're going to see something like this. Once we let you in, this is what I see from my end as a VE. I will go into the section where I will assist to manage the exam, and I'll log in. This is what you will see once we let you into the room. You're going to see all of us watching you, and you're going to have 2 cameras on you. That's the reason why the 2 devices. Usually we have the front camera of the computer looking at you all the times, and we have a second device looking, so we can look at the keyboard, and we can look at, usually we have it towards the side, so we can actually see the hands, the keyboard, and we can actually scan the room. So here are the instructions that every single VE who's doing online is going to go through. All these instructions have been vetted by the FCC, that have been vetted by lawyers. So this is the instruction we give you. You have to make sure you have a photo ID. You have to ensure you're going to be 100% working on the exam. Your head cannot deviate from the desk. Any type of weird movement, we are allowed to stop the test. No distractions whatsoever. Somebody comes into the room, we'll stop the test. If your dog comes into the room, we'll stop the test. If we see something on the desk that looks like any type of material that's not related to the test, we'll stop it. If we start looking at somebody looking at a cell phone, same thing. Somebody enters the room and that has happened before, we'll stop the test. Once we give you the green light, all of us will turn off the camera and audio, and we're just going to be there watching the candidate do the test. And there's a series of questions we will ask. And the first one is, are you the age over 18? If the person's under 13, we need to send a COPPA form, and they must have a parent or guardian to be in the room with them, and they have to give consent. The same thing, they have to consent that they're going to be recorded, and that we are allowed to keep that recording for 15 months for test integrity, audit reviews, and training. If they say no, we'll stop the test. And of course, we have to come to confirm your name and hold the photo ID to the camera. We'll show us the ID. All the VEs will agree. And then we ask them to connect the second device. With the second device, usually it's a cell phone or a tablet. We ask to do a 360 scan of the room to make sure there's nobody else there. There's no materials posted on the walls. We really scan the whole room. We scan the whole laptop, desktop, anything up your sleeve, everything. Again, no papers or anything on the desk. We allow one blank piece of paper, which they have to show us, and a pen or a pencil. They can use a calculator, or they can use the calculator on the PC. But they have to make sure that they show it to us and that no functions are stored in it. And then we ask for the second device to be placed on the side so we can see the hands on the keyboard, the computer display, and so we can see we have a second set of eyes on the candidate. And now the next step will be, once we've done all the scanning, which takes about 10 minutes to do the pre-work. We ask them to share the whole desktop environment in Zoom. And then from there, make them open up a browser. We'll get them to the portal. We'll provide them with a PIN number, which we'll see in a second. And then we indicate we're going to start recording at a point in time, and all the VEs will turn off the videos, and we'll just sit there and watch. So if I was going to take a test today, this is the where I'll be sent to. I will put the call sign of the VE who's running the session, and there's a user PIN that's associated with your test. Once you join, this is the view I see as a VE. I will see some the VE in charge of the session will have assigned me a candidate. But this is what I'll see in a second in my end. Here's what the candidate will see. The person will verify that their name and address is spelled all correctly. If all looks good, they can initiate the exam. This is what he will see on his end. We're watching the person take the test. Like I said, there's 2 cameras on the candidate at all times. We're watching for eye movement. We're watching for body movement. That's pretty much what we're doing. Sometimes it just gets boring. Sometimes you want to scream at the person because you get to see them take the test, and you know they're picking the wrong answer. So sometimes it's fun. It's just people watching. So this is usually what you see in my screen. One side will be the paperwork side, and the other side you will see is the person taking the test. Some clubs only allow you to do the ABCD method, or some of the clubs allow you to just click on the answer. You can scroll up and down. The environment will tell you if you miss a question to go back and miss it, meaning you didn't answer it. And once you are all done, oh, I'm sorry, let me give you, here's an example of how a question would look in front of you. And you get to pick. So you can either press the letters or actually click on the letter. And it will automatically move you to the next question. Once you're done, there's a great exam down there. Once the person does that, we'll turn our cameras on. We'll wait. Within less than 3 seconds, we get the results. At that point in time, we ask them if they want to take the next test. 9 out of 10 times, sometimes they do. Sometimes we get to see how they are answering the test, and we can tell if they're ready for the next one. If they are, they'll click start generated exam, or the next exam that they're going to take. And all of us will turn on our cameras, we go through the process again. Once they're done, they'll hit finish and sign forms if they pass. They'll get something like this where they review their name, the address. They have the chance to review the CSSC or the 605 form. Then they'll sign electronically, and it's funny because it's just people just put a line there through it, and they'll hit submit, and automatically all this gets filled out. Whatever they sign is going to show up over here. This is the manifesto that we get. We do this on it's all automatically. This get automatically submitted to the league and up to the FCC. And here's all the paperwork. Here's all the VEs, electronic signatures. Here's the electronic signature of the candidate. Here's an example. Here's the printout of the data that we keep. Sometimes they ask for this because they want to see what they fail upon. And sometimes we email them this information so we can actually see what they got wrong. Once it's done, all the applicants' information will go here in the completed applicants, and we just make one click and it gets uploaded to the league. The automatically gets uploaded to the FCC. And usually if it's there before midnight, within by around 9 a.m. Memphis time, the results are already posted. So it's really, really, really fast. So with that, I'll open up for any questions. I'll stop sharing.
I have a
There.
question.
Sure.
You said that if somebody wants to know what they missed, you'll let them know, or how do you know what the question is?
If you saw on the screen, the tool will actually highlight the ones that you missed.
Right.
So what we do is, if they ask for it, once we do the process, we process the paperwork, we'll mail them a copy.
But you don't know what the question is that they missed.
Oh yeah, let me show you.
Oh, it has the question number?
Oh yeah, let me show you real quick.
Oh, okay.
It's a good question, Joe. Yeah, I mean, you have to go look it up.
Oh, okay. I
So-
see. It is the question number.
So you just have to go back and look it up. But yeah, so I mean, some people want to see it, and I mean, we have guys who have done a perfect scores. We actually had one person who was blind. That was the most wild one that we ever saw, because he had a device that will dictate to him all the answer. I mean, the questions, and it was just wild to see that. Like I said, we had people overseas do this, and in the middle of the night, they'll connect. We have people taking. I've seen so many bathrooms. It's not even funny. I've seen a lot of wallpapers and stuff that. But it is a new way of doing things, and with COVID, it really took off.
You mentioned that you've had to have some stopped. How many have y'all had to stop for whatever reason?
Since I've been doing them, I had 5 occasions we had to stop. We had one person that we knew he was doing something. He kept looking up, and there were several movements that we felt like, we had a person who refused to take off his headsets. We had a person who was wearing earbuds, and didn't think we were going to see that. So there are people who can try to manipulate the system, but so far, I haven't heard any horrible stories yet of somebody beating it.
Somebody what?
Trying to beat the system, right? I mean,
I've heard of one that actually supposedly got processed, and the FCC turned it down and put them back to the lower class
yeah,
license.
like I said, the sessions are recorded. So if there's ever a question, we can always pull up the tape. And that's how one of the things it gets audited. And that's one of the things why the lawyers get involved, because I mean, you're recording somebody, there's laws behind that. And that's why we have to keep all this information up to 18 months.
Dang, that's impressive.
Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you, Steve.
No problem.
I know with the state, there's been a lot of certifications where they're doing, like you're saying now, where they record it live and watch you and everything, but I don't think it's as strict as what you just described. But that's good though if it gives another option. So
yeah, there's some groups that are very, very strict. I mean, we have a running joke of depends who's doing the test, and we know how strict they're going to be. I mean, there's some groups more strict than I mean, and we're very strict, but there's some groups that take it to the next level. I mean, we've seen it that's almost impossible to do a test with them. But it's keeping the integrity of the process. That's what we're gonna do.
all right. Well, thank you again for that program on online testing. If there's no other questions, does anybody else have anything that they need to make an announcement for, ask, have any questions, concerns? All right. Well, in that case, I hope that you all do not mind a short meeting tonight. But can I get a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Carolyn, is there a second? Dan, FBJ seconded. All right. Well, are there any objections to adjourning? If not, we stand adjourned at 7:52.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good meeting.
Right.